How you doing, man? You doing good?
I'm doing outstanding, sir. I'm doing outstanding.
Good. Yeah. So I was reading, looking at a lot of the videos on the site yesterday, and doing some reading. And man, what a story you've got. It's pretty insane. What just the idea of this organization. I mean, where did it come from? I know there's been a lot of ups and downs in your life, but was there a point where you said, man, I really need to do something, or I need to give back, or I need to get second chances to other people? Or what was kind of was there a turning point? What was that?
First, I discovered to myself that everyone needed a second chance after what I've been through. So fortunately, I was doing second chance for the fallen celebrities. I went to Hollywood, and I started with John True, Miguel Núñez Jr., and all the rest of these individuals. So I had a red carpet event and stuff like that. So when I met my wife, we talked about it. We were just friends at the beginning, and she stated, everyone needs a second chance. So with her being on my side, we formed together where we was going to give everyone in the world a second chance instead of just the fallen celebrities. And I look back at my story, and I look back at her story, and I said, we have to give everyone a second chance. So our first filming was when we filmed someone who needed a kidney transplant. And that was our first episode we'd have done. It was like a synopsis episode, or something like that, where people could understand where we're coming from. And so I came back to my hometown, San Antonio, and that's where we blew up basically from Fox 29. We was on Fox 29, and we did that concept episode. They put us on Fox 29. And then from there, we just went basically, started going up. And then we did a thing with Michael Harris, what they had us at Daily Mail World News. And then we reached out from there. And that's when St. Clair Broadcasting Station got a hold of us and stated that, hey, we love your story. Because St. Clair Broadcasting Station, like you said, they own Fox and ABC, and they have NBC have an umbrella where you have to go through NBC to get to Lifetime, and unless they call for it, if they call for it, you have to give you NBC submission slip. So that's how it goes. But at the same time, we just were so grateful that we came up with this concept to help the world. And we started getting it where it was through the Rise Guild Association. We got it copyrighted, protected, and we started the show. And we had a lot of people, individuals, submit all over the world, basically. And so we was like, wow, this really hit where people around the world need second chances. And I think that everyone needs a second chance. I got my second chance, if you read my story, and I was incarcerated for no reason at all. I kind of was upset with God a little bit, but then I learned that God put people in predicaments for this day right now to help save the world. And this is a part of your story now. So when people read your story, they know who this individual is to help people get second chances. And it's just not him giving someone a second chance. It's the individual based on his life history story that happened to give everyone a second chance. And I want to let them know that they're not alone. So I struggled as well, but I came out, where I can give everyone a second chance now.
When did you? I don't know. I imagine there was points where you felt sorry for yourself, or I mean, that couldn't have been an easy situation to be in. At what point does your mindset turn from, man, I really need a second chance, or I need a sign, or I need something, to then kind of turning it around and say, okay, now I got mine. Now how can I give it to others? Was there a moment where that kind of thought struck your mind, or was it with your wife, or do you remember a moment?
That struck my mind at the beginning at first, and then what I got with my wife. Actually, again, she was my best friend. Prior to that, then that's when I thought about it, when she told me, and I said, you know what, this is it. This, and I went back to what I've been through, and then I said, you know what, everyone needs a second chance. You have people on the street, you see people that's homeless, you see people who have natural disasters across the world, but they rely on the government, to come assist them and things like that. People from prison that just got out of prison, they rely on the government. Once they get out of prison, out of the prison system, they want, they always say, hey, the government's keeping us locked up. We're still locked up if we're on supervised release. I was also on supervised release, but I took it upon myself to still do better, get off supervised release, less than the 3 years that they gave me, and then able to conduct myself with the services of Second Chance. So it crossed my mind that everyone needs that second chance. So even on our episodes, we have people that the probation officer and the federal judges gave us from prison to put them on our show to give them that second chance. So the federal judge, Judge Berry, Fred Berry, he's a chief federal judge, and he loved this show. We got one called Forgotten Prisoners. So through Second Chance, where we don't, we get the people that been there too long or was wrongly incarcerated, that the mayors and the governors don't look at and stuff like that. Because you're a governor, you're not gonna go look at everybody's paperwork and say, hey, look, who's wrong, who's right. If they are shown on TV, then they'll basically look into the story or pardon them or something like that, or try to figure out what's right. Because there's a lot of people, as you know, that been incarcerated for no reason at all. And it's white, it's Spanish, it's Asians, it's everyone. We don't discriminate on no race. We help everyone around the world. And that's the thing about us. We're not an organization that just reflect on one race. We're an organization that reflect on uniting together everyone around the world. So we're talking about women that's in prison for no reason and stuff like that. Their appeals run out. So when the appeals run out, then you basically hit, unless you got some money for a big attorney. A lot of them don't, so they sit in there, So then that's our vision on Forgotten Prisoners. We haven't forgot about you either. We come to see if we can save your life as well. So based on the Second Chance organization, it's just based on helping people around the world get their second chance. And again, it's not like just for people that's homeless. It's not just for people that's in a crisis situation. It's for people who also are talented. Like they have music, and stuff like that, and they want to showcase, just like American Idol, where it's only one winner. The Second Chance, everybody's a winner because people get to see them and they get to help promote them and stuff like that, and things like that in that nature. People don't really know a lot of people until they see it advertised on TV. They won't know these individuals that really need that second chance. And so I know Chris needed it till he reached out to me. I think I put, once we won a title with Vander, we walked in Vegas. People thought we was in limo. We walked to Vegas, and he gave me that championship belt, and just to hold up, it's like, you, the reason why, I won this title because he was my sparring partner. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, stuff like that, and then reached out to me and told me what's going on with him. Then called him, and then all of a sudden we had that second chance. He was able to get his second chance, basically, to get on the show.
Yeah, that's an interesting setup there with Chris, because he, I don't think I knew. I loved watching him fight because he was in this kind of land of giants where he wasn't a big guy, didn't have a big punch, but he could use his defense and his boxing skills and won a couple titles, and so he's almost like Paulie Malignaggi in a way where he had that kind of skill, but was always kind of walking a tightrope, right? And I guess I wouldn't have known. I guess he's talked about it lately, but I'm not sure anybody knew like what he was going through at the time, having to gain so much weight to be in that weight class. All his whole story. At the time when you were sparring with him, and you guys were training together, was it evident to you that he was going through some difficult times as well, just mentally, I guess?
Well, when I was sparring with Chris was very energetic. He was always happy. He was always kind of like how you ride people and things like that. And then one time, I got the best of him, and my straps was loose, and Joe didn't get to tape them up. And so all the straps was on his face because he was ducking, dodging, but the strap was still hitting him. But he was like, and his face is so whipped up, and he's like, "You think you did something, did you?" And so that's why you 0-6, But and then Joe goes, "No, don't talk about him, Chris. He's helping you." And he said, "Oh, listen to me." He said, "The reason why you were 0-6 was a lot of sense. You started as a kickboxing champion," he said. "Then you came back here as a pro boxer." He said, "Then, a tough man contest, and that made me go pro because with Tony Ayala Sr. in San Antonio, I couldn't go back to amateur because I accepted money from a tough man contest. So I went pro. So I had to go pro. So I went to Flint, Michigan, and started with Butterbean and all the rest of them, but they didn't. I met Joe through that, and Joe brought me back over there to Flint, like you don't belong here, and that's how I was able to meet the Burrs family in the 90s. So Chris was always a slick fighter, and he was always good. He would always look at you, he would never tell you anything yet, because he's the type of person that he don't want you to brag. He was so much into God, you know.
Right. I remember him.
And he would always talk about Jesus, and he would always say, so one day he sat me down, he was like, look, he's like, this organization we have, we're going to be champions. And I was like, okay. You know, so I took it up on myself a lot of times to go behind Joe's back and get these fights that wasn't worth it just for the money. And then Joe's still in the 500 now, I can't have you do this no more. So I thought I was in the race, my boxing career was over with. And then he says, you're going to start sparring Chris. And I said, is this a joke? You know, Chris is fast, he's slick.
Yeah.
But you fight like a Evander, he says. You know, you shouldn't be able to be scared to fight Chris. I can tell you how to fight him, but you got to listen to me this time. So me and Chris sparred every day, Monday through Friday, for 6 months straight for David Tua, when he beat David Tua. Then after he beat David Tua, we took like a month and a half off. And then he had to train for Evander. And then we didn't go to Big Bear, California. We kept it in Flint. Now he's in Big Bear training right now for his July the 3rd fight on Oscar De La Hoya undercard. He's fighting the same guy Floyd Mayweather fought, McGregor or something like that. That's who Chris is fighting. But Chris was a normal middleweight, but he couldn't get a fight. So he had to go to heavyweight. And when they seen how good and fast he was, then Don King came over and promoted him. So we kept it in Flint, and we trained in Flint, and we was very successful with that. And me sparring him every day, training every day with him, you know, even holding him like a Evander will hold someone and throw a headbutt or something like that, and Chris will move and then cut or something like that. But I faced him, and at first, you know, with Chris, he was always thinking about something, and I never knew what he was thinking about. And he would never tell me, but there was a lot of stuff on his mind at some point in time when he was fighting for the championship, or actually a training, sparring for the championship, rather I say. And right after that, I kept looking at him. He kept feeling like he was, every time I would beat Chris, he wouldn't really throw punches and stuff. He would just move. And so I was like, what's going on with him? Like he had something on his mind, like some things on the mind, and I didn't know what it was. And then he came back strong, like 3 days later. And I mean, he was so fast, like I didn't know he was like beating the crap out of me. Or something, because Joe kept saying, Paul 0-6, you remember that? He's 0-6. And you look at your record and look what Paul doing to you. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna get Paul. He's like, you better be ready tomorrow. I was like, okay, and I laughed at him. But I should have been ready because he got the best of me that day. We got the best of each other every day, but at the same time, he became victorious with the Evander. And then when he gave me that belt, I wanted him to say, thank you, man, thank you. But Chris is the type of person, again, he's humble. He wants you to be humble as well. But he got into this race. Now he got a championship. Now what's next? All these big giants don't going to give him, which he did. He did a lot of things to Chris. But, you know, things that he did is up to Chris to say, not for me to say, but at the same time. But at the same time, Chris fell downhill after that. He started promoting the Klitschko brothers, which Chris already beat one of them for the WBO. But the brother was stronger. He beat Chris. And after that, Chris wasn't the same after that. He went down to light heavyweight. Then dude knocked him out. He broke his collarbone. And it was just so much stuff going on with him. And I think he just probably gave up hope, you know.
But even after he beat Evander, though, I mean, he beat McCline, who was just a big dude. And, you know, 𝘠𝘵𝘃 Williamson had a huge punch. I mean, he was still like winning these fights against these kind of giants with giant punches. It's still, and even Tua. I mean, Tua was a monster, right? So I mean,
I said, hey, I can't fight like Mike Tyson, because you know, even Mike Tyson at the time didn't want to fight Chris. But I said, I could tell you this, David Tua, I mean, he wasn't no joke. But Chris outpunched him, tired him out, and beat him. And I saw what David Tua just letting him punch him. I'm like, what David? What because he couldn't eat that noise. The same thing with Evander. Evander's like, okay, my shoulder hurt. It wasn't that. It's just Evander's getting beat. Chris was he was slick. So that was like he had skills. So that was his method to beating everyone. But now he wants to go back to middleweight. I think, and a lot of times he feels that he should have got gold in the Olympics, but he got silver. But I think he feels some kind of way now as we talk that I want to go back to middleweight and fight. And I said, Chris, I said, are you sure you want to fight? Like, and he says, you don't believe in me? I said, I believe in you. I just think that maybe it's not something there yet. Maybe I know you're eager to go back and fight for the middleweight championship. What's yours? Maybe you can do it. And that's when he put up George Foreman when he knocked out Michael Moore at 50-something years old. So we said,
and Bernard Hopkins and sure, why not?
So Bernard Hopkins, so.
I mean, Tyson just made a bunch of money fighting Roy Jones Jr. I mean, why not, right?
There you go. But these are real fights. These not exhibition fights to Chris Warren. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I mean, if they're kind of making fun of you or taunting you about being 0-6 and all that stuff, I mean, obviously you were successful kickboxing, so it was just a difficult transition going from that to boxing.
Well, kickboxing, a lot of these people don't know kickboxing at the time, like in the 90s, 89 and 90, they was like just depending on the kicks, not depending on their hands. But see, me, I was a smart fighter and I was boxing since I was 8 years old. So I had the upper hand because my hands was fast. And so all these masters and stuff like that will fight me. They would give me all these fights and I will beat them because all you got to get 8 kicks out of a round. And you could throw just a kick, like a front snap, you can miss them as long as you gave that 8 kick out. And once the 8 kicks was out, then you can do what you want to do then. But you have to get 8 kicks out of a round. So sometimes I have my brother in my ring. He was like, hey, I had Sean Elliott, which I trained before for San Antonio Spurs. He was in my corner before. With Selena. I don't know if you know her. She was the singer.
I live in Austin, Texas. So yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah. So I was like, they was in my corner. They were like, okay, you got your 8 kicks out. Then I would start boxing. And my boxing was so great that I would knock people out. So that was the advantage. But then when you come to boxing itself and you can't kick, and it's the transaction. A lot of people go from pro boxing to kickboxing, not from kickboxing to pro. So it was just a different transition. It was like more money on the table for me. And I wasn't thinking about being a champion at the time. I was thinking about the money more.
I got you.
That's what happened. From the kickboxing days, from my days, because Chuck Norris, him and Ken Norton Sr. ran the WKA, was the World Kickboxing Association back then. So I don't know what happened now. I just thought transitioning to boxing, and my kickboxing life was over. Once I lost my titles, I kept fighting this guy named Stan Singleton. He was the only one that people would go out and when the Alamo Dome was built, it was jam-packed because everybody wanted to see us fight. So every time I fought him, I beat him, but then this last time they said don't fight him because they was going to cheat. And they had everybody in his corner, all these masters and stuff. And back time, you couldn't have so many people in your corners. I only had one people in my corner. When I knocked them down, they didn't give him a standing 8 count. I already knew right then and there that either I was going to knock him out or they was going to cheat me for the title, which they did. But I should have known because, again, I thought about it was the money situation again. Like, come on, like, I give you so much money, you're going to fight the Alamo Dome. And I took that bait. But I learned how in the ways what Chris told me, like, now you beat me every day, he tells me. You fighting me like a champion. You could have did the same thing to them people and you'd have been a champion boxer, but you didn't. So, it was just different. And again, like, it's a learning experience for me. But at the same time,
do you have regrets about that? Do you think that he's right? And if so, do you regret any of that? I mean, as far as like being a potential championship boxer?
I kind of regret it, but it's a learning experience. I mean, I can't rewind time. I can only move forward and adjust from it. I felt like that if I was a boxing champion, I wouldn't be able to do second chance. That's not what my life God already had it directed what he wanted me to do. This was just a transaction to go and learn about boxing and to make people champions. Now, Chris is in the Hall of Fame, Boxing Hall of Fame, and all these things he talked to me and told me, it was because of you. You helped me train. If you wouldn't help me train and fought me just like you done, since I would have never, Evander, he was kind of slick. You fought like Evander, and it made me punish him more because I thought about you trying to beat me, and I got in the ring and I beat Evander to death. So, going back to your initial question, yes, I felt a lot of times that I should have just been listening and just fought and kept my mind occupied and not going for the money. I think I would have been champion. I wanted to be champion. That was my that was my MO. I wanted to be champion, but I feel like I'm a champion now because what I'm doing to help people around the world. The reason why Rodman needed someone who was powerful, not quick, but I was too quick for Hassim. So to me back, I told Joe. Joe was like, that's why, because you was too quick. See, Hassim, he needed someone who had power like Lennox Lewis and stuff. But Lennox Lewis was quick too, but he needed these powerful punchers. Now with Evander Holyfield, he was quick. He was a small heavyweight. He was about 225, something like that. Chris
was a cruiserweight. Yeah.
Because he was cruiserweight, first cruiserweight champion. He moved to heavyweight. So so he was small. But with Hassim Rodman, Lennox Lewis, they was big guns. He didn't want nobody like banging on him like that because he didn't need a fast person. He needed someone who had power. I had power, but at the same time, I was real slick like Chris. So after sparring with Chris, I went to Hassim and I came back like, okay, forget it. But Chris was became like a brother to me and his whole family. We became family. Like when I talked to Lori the other day, she was the basketball player. She was the WNBA assistant coach for Detroit Shocks. She's over there and he said, "It's Paul." And she go, "Hi, Paul." It was like Patrick, Tim, Tracy. I had to spar with Tracy sometime too because she was fighting for the championship again and he wanted her to spar against men.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't know. Is that his
sister?
Sister, okay.
He's Tracy Bird, his wife, and Tracy Bird, his sister.
I forgot about that. I forgot that she was I forgot about that. Are you in San Antonio now? Is that where you still live, or where are you?
San Antonio.
Okay. It's funny. We were just in San Antonio a couple weeks ago. For my brother-in-law wanted to see the Alamo. We'd never seen it before, so we went and did like the whole river cruise and stuff. And they, there's one point you pass under the Selena Bridge, I guess.
Selena
on that cruise.
Rock, Selena, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, so that was where she got engaged or something. What was that? So what was it? You were a bodyguard for her? Is that right?
Yeah, I would do security work for her and stuff like that when she was in Houston, all these other things and stuff like that. And I would speak to her on the side at some occasions and stuff. I knew Chris real well. Matter of fact, it was crazy because me and my wife went to get a massage and Chris' daughter was there. And she says, "Oh, I heard you know my father." I said, "What's your father's name?" She told me Chris. I said, "What?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, they asked me when I was in Hollywood to come down to do tribute to Selena's statue in Hollywood. But I was so busy, I didn't go. But I was there in Rancho Palos Verdes, which is not like maybe an hour from Hollywood, a 45 minutes drive. Her dad and was there, but Chris wasn't welcome to come. The only person that I really was like my best friend again, like Chris, was Sean Elliott. We went everywhere. We went to his house. I slept over his house. Like we were just real cool. Then David Robinson came along, and I wanted to train him, and then he had me train Valerie before became his wife. For Valerie, his wife. Yeah. So then I started training Sean and his cousins over his house, and we just kept it private. But that's how he got his name, the Ninja, because of the karate he was doing with me at the time. So
how are you training him? What were you doing?
I was training Sean karate and stuff like that.
Okay.
So like I would train, like he would do basketball moves, and I said, "Look, Sean, like when they throw the ball towards you, you grab a person, spin them, and then you grab it and dunk it." And he did it a lot of times. I said, "It worked." Yeah, it worked. Yeah. So I figured it out now. So they started doing this to him. But before that, he would, I would show him some moves. He said, "So you can do that?" I said, "Yeah." So if the guy grabbed you like this, I would show him some moves where you could take his hand and like turn him, and he turns, and when he turns, he goes this way. Sean runs to the basket, he throw it to him, he dunk it. So, sure, but yeah, I told my wife, you know, I want to get a hold of Sean Rillett, but I said I'm gonna let God bring him to me. I want to get a hold of Chris Bird, but I'm gonna let God bring him to me. And as soon as I said that, God brought me to Chris when he really needed me. And then my Instagram, you see I had his belt. I put it up there in 2015. He got a hold of me, maybe it says 3 weeks ago. He said he was in chronic pain. He got a divorce. And he was suicidal. He wanted to kill himself and all these other things. And he wanted to bring back the middleweight title. And I said, Chris, I got my number in your DM. So he looked at it. That's how we reunited. So Sean, we will reunite again as well. So I don't contact Sean. Hey, Sean, I'm here. I just he'll contact me.
What? That's it. If Chris is telling you this, that he's suicidal and all this stuff, how scary is that? He's confiding this stuff in you. Was it a scary situation for you?
Well, he was suicidal. He had some kind of pain where his leg was so bad that he wanted to cut it off. It was some kind of pain he had, and he said that's his wife and stuff left him. But we just start going back and through the days where we were sparring, and we went back through the days where we laugh and joke around. Went back to the days where, he would tell my brothers like, "Hey, your brother didn't listen." And when my dad would tell him, and he would just box for money, but at the same time, it was just a good conversation we had. And then I brought him on the show, and so a lot of people don't want to promote Chris, far as he need training fee money. He needed to someone to support him in the boxing. He needed a lot of things. I think at this time he was homeless and he was staying with someone. So I don't really know the situation on that, but he wanted a lot of funding to get back and stuff like that. So I just felt bad for him because I didn't know he went that down and out.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch him fight, he always comes, like in his interviews, he comes across as very intelligent and very much put together, like he knows what's going on. So, and then you don't hear from him for 10 years, then you have no idea what's going on with him.
I didn't know. I mean, I talked to Joe in 2013, and this before his mom passed away. And when he told me, I said, yeah, I understand. I said, my mom passed away too. He goes, this year? Yeah. And then my dad passed away 3 months after that. I told him. I said, then my daughter passed away. Are y'all all in the same year? He goes, what? So we was just kind of having, that deep conversation. But he said his dad is sick, so he couldn't be in his corner.
But for you, I mean, you served time in prison for something you didn't do, right?
I did.
Your parents die within a couple months of each other. I was really sorry to hear about your daughters when Hurricane Harvey. How do you keep going through all that stuff? I can't even imagine. How do you go through that stuff and get through it and keep on living, I guess?
Well, when my mom passed away, I was kind of, I knew she was going to pass away. Something was telling me your mom going to pass away. And sometimes you prepare your mind for that. And when you prepare for the unexpected, it's not a surprise to you. But when it happened, I was so hurt. A lot of people reached out to me, asked would I come to the funeral. I told them no, but I did a Zoom thing for the funeral for my family and everybody. At that point in time, my dad, we reconciled a relationship. He was going to get back married to my mom. I didn't know that. And he told me we was getting together, going to get back married to each other, because I want to spend my last time with her. And he was sick. And then 3 months later, he had called me. And at the time, I was talking to my wife, but she wasn't my wife then. She was still a friend. And I said, I know what he wanted. He wanted me to help him do something. And then he died, So I was kind of upset with that a little bit because I was always a daddy's boy and a mama's boy. Yeah. But then when my twins, I never expected that to happen. They would have been 30 right now. They was my oldest daughters. Unfortunately, my grandsons, from both one granddaughter and my other grandson, unfortunately they was with their grandmother during the time. But I was hurt on that because again I didn't know what was going on. So they said it's something you call some kind of first aid, something they had, and I called and their cousin answered the phone and she told me everything, and she was there too. They had to live there. And she told me what happened. And I was like, I was, you know, I knew God had plans for me, because God's not going to give you nothing you can't handle in the first place. And then right after that, my Dominique, which is my other daughter, me and her mom was like best friends, and like she would tell me everything, I would tell her everything, and she was only the best friend of all my baby's mama. She was the only one that I could talk to, and like, you know, Floyd Mayweather had a baby's mama. He gave her a boutique and stuff. They had that good relationship, friendship, and that was like her. And she passed away in her sleep. And
Dominique's mom did?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And that was all in the same year. And
oh my God, I didn't know about that. Yeah.
It's going on. So you know, it was just so much trials and tribulations that was coming my way. But I know that I was prepared for something that was coming big. And I knew I had to get this second chance off the ground. Because, you know, a lot of people go through things, tragedy things, from family to mom, dad, and they give up hope. You know, they give up and they just go into this trance, or they'll try to commit suicide and all these things. But if it can happen to me, if your story wasn't no better than mine, then you can translate and get that second chance and get help that we're giving you, or you can go forward in life and just keep moving. Because I think about this, I think that, you know, one day I'll see him anyway, you know, when time passes. But at the same time, my wife at the time, she was my friend. She always came and we went to the beach and stuff like that. And she talked to me about it and kind of cleared my head. But yeah, I was kind of not there at the beginning. And I came.
Yeah, I mean, did you give up hope at some point when all that stuff was going on?
No, well, you know what? I kind of did a little bit. I gave up a little hope. But then I hurry up and got it back when I started praying and stuff like that. I got it back real quick, and it made me stronger, because I really wanted to do this second chance, and I wanted to show my mom what I was doing and stuff like that. And unfortunately, you know, that didn't happen. And my dad knew what I was doing, and I didn't get it off the ground as yet, and then he was gone. So I think everything is done for a reason in life, and people don't know what the reason is. But I think my purpose and reason in life was to get married to my wife, to build this organization. Like I said, she did so much in this organization more than me. I'm just a speaker, you know, just like I was a director at 𝘵𝑲ℎ𝑚𝑎N Services, and I had HR to do the paperwork and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's what she is, and she does a lot of great things for the organization. So I was just like, okay, well, this is something that God pieced together. But he also wanted to show me that you just can't look at what the bad things happen. You must move forward and look at the good things that has happened. With that being said, I think that, you know, everything is for a reason, you know, so I believe truly in my heart that this day was designed for me. I had to lose things, and I had to get over things, overcome things, hope, and all these things to get back where I am today, to fight back and to make this organization. And that's why I can say I am a champion at that, because this time I didn't give up. I kept moving, I kept going, and me and my wife, and we kept moving, and we now, you know, it's a big thing going on now with Second Chance organization.
Yeah. So when are these shows? I know it said spring or summer. When you start rolling out?
It was supposed to be in the summer because of the pandemic and stuff like that happened.
Yeah.
Has postponed that. They got us a slot on a Saturday from 8 to 9, but they have a date coming up for us soon. I think it's going to be maybe at the end of May or the beginning of May or something like that, the end of May, the second week of May or something. So that's what they're doing. They're moving a lot of things around, you know. Yeah, shifting stuff around and stuff like that. So my life has been a big brainstorm. It was great. It was good. And the Nigerians scanned me, and they had the Secret Service had all the information. They asked me like, hey, you got the information? You talked to him? I gave him all the information. Brian Gibson, he was the Secret Service guy. Mm-hmm. He didn't like me for some reason, because I think I told him, well, I got 2 masters. What do you got? You know, you know, in political science and criminal justice. So he got upset. It's like, okay, well, I think they're going to indict you. I like, what you mean? He go, because I think because you got that, it's a red flag and all these other things. So a year later, after they was done with Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and all these Secret Service guys got off of them, they had the stack of warrants on his table. And he's looking through the stack, and one of them was me. He wanted to get me. So they started looking for me after that. So that's what happened. But they dropped the charges against me, 2 to 40 charges. The judge, then he knew something was wrong with this case, but he really didn't say anything. But at the time, he was just slamming people. He was just telling people, they would read the paper, go, oh, okay, no problem. I'm gonna give you, and he would go over your guidelines, which the federal can go over your guidelines. Yeah. So, I played for some years. And so I went to the judge, and the the assistant prosecutor attorney of the federal was like, I think he deserved more time. He manipulated the system, look at his IQs and stuff from, university, all these things. So the judge like, yep. And I think I'm gonna give him more time. I think I'm gonna give him some more time.
Just because. Just because.
But after I
spent, how long did they say you were going to be there for?
10 years.
Oh, is that right? Oh, wow.
After I did 13 months, because that takes that long for you to go to trial. Yeah. So when I played for the 10 years, and then so he wanted to go with my guidelines, kind of give me more. I don't know why, but I think it was a faith of God saying you have to have faith in him. And so I said, again, here you go again with this, God, like, what's going on, So he said, anything you got to say before I sentence you? I said, yes. And I got up out of my seat and walked to the podium. I didn't have no paper or anything these other guys had, and I just said it from my heart. And this judge let me talk for 30 minutes. I was pleading for my life.
Sure.
I said, Mr. Nutall, I don't think you had anything to do with this. And I'm going to drop 2 to 40 charges against you, but maybe one charge you had something to do with it. So I'm going to give you time served, and I'm going to release you today. And that was God's favor. Yeah. And I in there. And then after that, they take me back to the cage, and all these other people was coming like, hey man, thank you. I'm like, what you mean? He goes, well, I played for like 5 years. The judge gave me 1. Like he was giving a favor. So judge, I wrote to him and told him what I was doing and stuff like that. And he never wrote back, but I don't know if he retired or not. But he was a great judge. If it weren't for him releasing me on that time, I'd have been doing some time that I didn't deserve. Like see other people who in jail now, in prison, that they didn't do the crime like I didn't. I was manipulated to do these things, and at that time they didn't know about the Nigerian scam. Now they do, but they letting people go with the Nigerian scam now as they know about them. But back then it wasn't like that. This
wow.
2005, something like that.
Was it okay? Yeah, I was going to ask you when all that stuff was going on.
I ran 2 years. I was under another name and everything. So I was disappointed in the justice system that they indicted me under the name, so they didn't let me out. They said I was a flight risk. So
yeah.
And unfortunately, I would have ran again.
Yeah, you couldn't argue with that, right? You can be like, well, yeah, I guess I am a flight risk.
Right.
Man, it's an amazing story, dude. Is there anything else I'm missing? Anything else you want to talk to me about?
Well, my wife, I always ask her, because I was real huge. I don't know if you saw me I was like maybe 270 pounds. I was bald headed. I had no hair,
Yeah.
She became my best friend and stuff like that. And then she liked men that was cut up and like nice looking and stuff. But she gave up on them people, man, and stuff. And we started helping do an organization. And I said, would you marry me? She goes, no, Paul, I'm not going to marry you. We're just friends. But in light of all that, we became real close and we started dating. And unfortunately, I got my prayers from God. And it was nothing but God, she said. She got married to me. We got married in Vegas. And then from there, we moved to San Antonio maybe about 3 months after. And it became a great experience for us in San Antonio. And I said, so she said, why are we going to San Antonio? I said, I had a vision. God told me to go over there. Because I knew some people from I knew Dan Cook and all these people that did Sean Elliott and stuff. I could be on the news and kind of talk about second chance. But unfortunately, they wasn't there anymore. Dan Cook died. All these people wasn't there. It was a new system that you had to go through. But we was able to be on Fox. We were still able to be on Fox, and Fox 29 saw us. They liked the story. They asked if they could put it on the show for free, and because they usually charge, but they put it on. And from there, we went there. From there, the Daily Mail went there. From there, so it was just God's blessing that I brought it back to my hometown. Brought it back to San. You know.
I was looking on there's a picture of you on Box Rec, and you're bald headed there. You look like.
No, I was bigger than that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I was bigger than that. Yeah, Boxing Rec, I was 0-6. That's what Chris was talking about. He said, "Man, you
know.
6." Yeah, he said.
I know.
So Joe said, "You under 500. You can't fight no more for me. You gonna have to." So I sparred Chris, but again, like I said, I kind of regret, because all them times I could have won them fights, but I seemed like I just gave up. I fought this guy was 7'2" on Showtime, named Julius Long. He was 7'2", and I fought him twice, matter of fact.
No, yeah, I saw that, yeah.
And he became champion, but Joe Burr was like, "Man, look," he's like, "Why you fighting this big old giant?" And I was like, and it was just for the money. I mean, I felt I could have beat him. Joe showed me how to beat him. He said, "Okay, if you're gonna fight him, I'm gonna show you how to beat him." But the first time I fought him, I was throwing it right to the body, and he did like this with his elbow, and he hit my wrist, and it fractured it. And that's what he would do. Like Vander would headbutt, he would do this. And if you throw something, he would do this, and he would kind of make your fist go down, and he fractured. So at that point in time, that was in Detroit. That was a TKO, because I was unable to go. And then I told Joe, "Okay, I can beat this guy." Joe said, "Okay, I'm gonna be in your corner." So Joe and his mom was in my corner.
Yeah.
And Joe was saying, just he's so tall, just throw up. So he was having practice on his dummy to throw up. So Joe was training me for this for this fight, Joe Berg. So I would throw up, and Chris is like, "Boy, if you knock this guy out, I'm gonna laugh."
He fought a guy, I don't know if you remember a guy named Ty Fields.
Yeah. Yep.
So that dude was like 6'8". So can you imagine watching those guys, a 7'1" dude and a 6'8" guy trying to get after each other like that?
I was 5'11". That's why Joe was like, and I was like 190. And he's like, so Joe didn't see him. Joe knew who he was, but Joe didn't really see who he was. So he walked past us to go to the ring. Joe looked at me and said, "You fighting that big man?" I said, "Yep." He saw us at the weigh-in. He said, he thought when he was at the weigh-in, Joe kind of thumped it. "Here's the weigh-in. You gonna weigh in?" And then when he weighed in with me, Joe looked at me. He said, I can't believe you fighting this big joker, boy." And he said, "I know. Just go up. You said he was tall." I said, "I told you I didn't know he was that tall." Like,
oh my God.
Jump. So,
it's like that dude. Was it Valuev, who was like 7 foot, who won some titles, I think.
Who Julius Long?
No, I'm talking about there was another guy who was that big.
I think he won some titles. The one Julius Long fought. Yeah.
Yeah, I think his name was Nikolai Valuev, something like that. He was 50-2, geez, and he was 7 foot. Yeah, so I guess, but he wasn't. I don't think his skills-wise he was all that good, but he was just so big that it's hard to beat him, I guess. Well, listen, Paul, man, thanks so much for your time. It was really great chat with you. Really interesting story. Well, because it was a fascinating story, man. So,
I'll let Chris know too, because I know I'm gonna just text him and tell him, because I know he can't answer his phone, but when he do, I'll let him know. I think the training, it should be over in a couple of weeks or so, or maybe sometime. He'll get to talk, but when you're in Big Bear, I mean, you cut them phones off. Like you gotta concentrate. And Chris is just like that. Like he'll concentrate on right now. Chris is so concentrating on the fight right now that he wants it so bad. So I think he's trying to prove a point or something, or he when he's interviewed. I don't know if you saw the interview, the clips of the interview on our Instagram page with him. We just put some short clips. He said he's gonna show the young guys.
But yeah, I will. I need to figure out who Chris is. Who's training him? Do you know? He's in Big Bear.
He's in Big Bear, California with De La Hoya now. They train in Big Bear. Chris is a Big Bear.
They're training together, or around the same.
They train. They ain't training together. Maybe Oscar is sparring Chris, because I don't know is Oscar super middleweight or junior middleweight. I don't know. I think Chris is some sparring partners, and De La Hoya Promotion is putting up a little front money for some to get him active, because him and De La Hoya is best friends. You know, actually Sugar Shane's down there too. Because when I talked to him, I said, "Tell Sugar Shane," I said, "What's up?" And he said, "Paul said hi." Oh, Paul Nutall. Oh, tell him hey. So everybody know who Chris Bird sparring partner was. I know Sugar Shane too. Sugar Shane is down there as well. So I don't know what's going on.
Wonder who's training him. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
It ain't Joe.
Yeah. Well. Right. But anyway, listen, Paul. Again, thanks so much for talking to you. It was great. Great meeting you.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your time and everything like that, man. God bless you. Be safe. You know. And thank you for interviewing me for this.
Absolutely. And I guess when you guys figure out when it's going to start airing, let me know, because I'd like. I mean, that'd be a good news peg, or.
Okay.
So I guess that'd be great. Sounds great. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Awesome, you guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have a good afternoon. Bye.
Bye.